Hello, fans. Wait a second. Hello, PSU fans. No. Hello, power supply fans. I'm the PC Expert Amateur, and we're going to learn about how to test your PSU or power supply to make sure that it actually is fully functional. And I picked up this power supply tester, which can do SATA and MolXT and 3-pin, 8-pin, 3-pin, they count it a different way. I don't know why they do it, but you can do a 6-pin connector or an 8-pin connector. And they also have the floppy connector there, right there. And of course the 20 to 24 pin connector to the motherboard. So with this, you can test everything you need to test, pretty much. Now, there are possibly other types of connectors you might need, but this will work for most standard things. Now, there is one caveat that I want to state right up front. If you're going to get a computer, I suggest you buy this when you get the computer. And the reason I say this is because if you're assembling your own computer, then you will want to test your power supply prior to installing it. Because then the power supply is new, and you'll be able to verify that this tester actually works correctly. And I'll show you why later. If you are buying a pre-built, it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt because you have to disconnect all the cables so that you can test to make sure that everything that's been installed, there's no problem as far as the power supply and the cables for the power supply. And hopefully, when they built the computer for you, they sent you the extra cables that came with the power supply. Now, some PC builders, they don't send you all the extras that they got when they ordered all these parts. They just set them aside or throw them out, or I don't even know what they do. Others do. You should receive any extras that came with every device in your computer. If you don't, I strongly advise that you complain. And here's a reason why. Say, for example, your VGA or graphics card power cable from the power supply to the graphics card goes bad. You're going to need a replacement. Now, like for example, on the power supply that I am going to test with you, they have 4 ports on it for graphics cards. They have 3 for SATA, 1 for MolXT, and 2 for CPU. Now, I'm not using all 4 VGA connectors because I only have 1 card. But every power supply is different. So let's go ahead and dig into this and see what's going on with this brand new power supply of mine. This is an EVGA 850 GQ. I just got it out of the box. And as I said before, we've got 4 VGA, 2 CPU. We've got, now this is a semi-modular power supply. A fully modular power supply, it'll only be ports here and you'll have to plug in everything. But with a semi-modular power supply, this is a critical cable. And to improve the chances that it won't go bad, this one is permanently connected to your power supply. And that's a good thing. Also, another thing that's good about this is the vast majority of the time, well, I don't know, maybe it isn't good. I guess it depends on your perspective. The vast majority of the time, this is, well, I guess I shouldn't say a vast majority of the time. This should really be over here. And the reason I say that is because if you have to add something and you have to plug in and you have to get around this cable to get to these ports, or worse yet, a port over here, like I've got an empty SATA port over here. This is in the way. All of these are in the way. You're going to actually have to unseat your power supply from its mount, wherever it is in the case, and then you're going to have to pull it out and plug in and put it back in. But if this were on this side and long enough to work in even the largest cases, that would be a better design, because this is not in the way of you reaching these without without pulling the power supply out of the case. But that's just my thought. So this is your 20 plus 4 connector. So if you have a motherboard that only needs 20, you can do 20. If you have a motherboard that uses 24, you can use 24. Before you buy a power supply, make sure that the motherboard how many pins the motherboard accepts. Because if you buy one that has a 24 pin without this separate part here, you're not going to be able to use it, especially if it's permanent. I mean, permanently attached. If it's not permanently attached, well, not so bad, because you can contact the company and say, hey, I have a 20 pin motherboard, and you don't have a separate thing for 20 pin. You only have the 24 pin, and therefore I cannot use this power supply cable. Can you send me a 20 plus 4 or just a 20 pin connector? In fact, don't even ask for a 20 pin connector. Just ask for a 20 plus 4, because who knows what you're going to need in the future. And then hopefully they'll send you one. Or if that's not possible, you're going to have to send this power supply back. Just tell the vendor, say, hey, this is the wrong one. I have a 20 pin motherboard, and this is only 24 pins. Yeah. Anyways, getting back to the topic at hand, the tester. So step 1 is to make sure that it's plugged in, which it is. Step 2 is to connect this to the tester. So I'm going to very gracefully do this somehow. All right, so I am going to try to do this without the phone falling down, because, I've got my computer discombobulated. Oh, I almost forgot. I've got some special news. I am going to be running a contest that is going to be completed just prior to Black Friday. It's going to be a computer case contest. I'm going to contact as many case manufacturers as I can and offer them the opportunity to join in on the contest. I've already spoken to Silverstone, and they have expressed interest. So it's just a matter of me reaching out to all the case companies, and there are a lot of case companies. I had no idea that there were as many as there are. There are too many, just too many. So yeah, it's going to be a double contest. I will make a separate video about that. So we're going to plug this in here. Now, since this is a plus 4, I have to hold it in place on the end here so it's correctly aligned, just like that. Make sure it locks into place. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult. All right, now we're going to turn the power supply on. Okay, so remember what I was saying about you want to make sure that your tester is good. Do you see anything wrong with this picture? Well, let me show you the instructions to help you. Read, let's see, 1, 2, and 3, if you can. I'll tell you what, I'm going to turn that off so it's easier to read. Oh, no! Oh, no, Mr. Bill! Okay, so if you can read 1, 2, and 3 there, it says that all of these lights here should be on. Jiminy crickets. All right, I'm going to have to do this a different way. There we go. That's better. Now it can't fall because it's in a drawer. So you can see that the minus 5 volt is off. And that is not good. So we know right away that this tester is bad. I just received this yesterday, and I got to test it, and it's not good. And it's only fortunate. It's fortunate, really fortunate, that I had an extra power supply that was new. The reason I say that is because I was testing my old Corsair to make sure it was working, and I came up with a couple of problems, and I thought it was the power supply, but then I thought, what if the power supply is fine, and this is not a power supply problem, as far as this is concerned. So I tried it in the EVGA, I got the same results. So we're going to keep this plugged in, and then we're going to test our cables. We're going to start with our MolXD, which looks like that. See, it's like a, man, I hate it when it's always focusing on my face. That's a MolXD. And if you notice, it's got rounded corners on one side, so it looks kind of like a D. All right, we're going to plug that into that side, the side that says HDD, which means hard disk drive, because in the old days, everything was MolXD. I don't know why they didn't just market MolXD. Well, almost everything. Not the like floppy disk, but most things used MolXD connectors like this. So now what we should be getting here is, according to the instruction number 4, it says plug hard disk drive connector, check 12 volt and 5 volt. And as you can see, 12 volt and 5 volt are on. So that one is fine. Good news. I mean, I hate MolXD. I wish MolXD were retired from the industry, but I don't have control over that. So let's move on to the SATA cables, because we want to make sure that everything we're going to use is going to work right. Now you can use any of these, whichever one is convenient, it doesn't matter. Now, unfortunately, with this particular model, you know, these have that kind of a little bit of an L to them. Well, maybe if well, it's kind of a really more of a reverse L, but you can see there's that little slot there at the bottom. That helps you to correctly connect it, because if you get it in reverse, you're going to fry something. Now with this has a little bit of resistance to that problem. So what it's really stupid. On this model, let me make sure I'm getting this right. Okay, so on this model, the slotted side, you can see that again, is going to go on this side here. So here's the 24 pin over here, and the slot is on here, on this side, not this side. Yeah, see, it's right there. So we're going to put it in like this. And this is what you're supposed to see. All 3 are lit up. Okay? And now let's try the second one. And again, it doesn't matter which one of these you use. You can use the first one, the second one, the third one. And if it's got 4, you can use the 4th one. Doesn't matter. Just find that slot and slide it in correctly. And unfortunately, it doesn't have a nice design whereby it guides you to properly connect it, so you have to work at it a little bit. Sometimes I can get it in on the first try. That's what she said. Okay, so this one works too. So our SATA cables are fine. Now we want to make sure that our CPU cables are good. So we're going to take these and we're going to put them together, because this is a 4. And we're going to plug it into that one there. Now it's a little bit awkward, but don't worry. The case is a little bit misaligned. And so for all of these, according to instructions, let's see, number 6, this is only going to show the 12 volt. So we know this one's good. And that, and then you want to test all of them, because if you don't and you have a problem, you may not realize, oh no, and then you have to take everything apart and it becomes a really big hassle. Whereas if you test it ahead of time, it's not a big hassle. And this is a very valuable thing to do, to make sure, especially if you're not using a brand new power supply, and that one's good too. If you're not using a brand new power supply, you definitely want to check before you use it in your computer, because if you don't, you might end up damaging your new components with your old power supply. Yes, that can happen, especially if that power supply is really old, or if it ever maybe was hit by a power surge or a lightning strike. Definitely not one you want to use. You should check it, and if you're at all uncertain, you should retire it. Now, supposedly, this one should make noise when something's wrong, but as you can see from that missing light there, there's no noise. So that means one of two things. Either the light is bad, or I mean, aside from the fact that maybe the power supply is bad, either the light is bad, or the speaker is bad, or something else in the circuitry is bad, or it's the power supply. In this case, this is a brand new one, and I've tested it on my old one, so I know for sure that this is a problem with the tester, and I will be returning this tester. Oh my. It's a little bit awkward with these, but okay. Uh-oh. That's not right. Oh no. What happened? Hold on. Something got tripped. Come on. Just a minute. So there's something going on here, and this again could be a problem with the power supply. It could be a problem with the cable. What happened is it faulted. So every light except for this plus 5 volt SB light went off. So if I plug this in, nothing happens. It just... So we're going to try again. All right. So it's not doing anything. I'm going to unplug this and wait for the power to drain, because it takes about a minute for the power to drain from here, just lighting up that little LED. And we're going to make sure it's nice and tight connected on that side. Rest of my cables. It may be a cable problem. So we're going to try turning this on again. And as you can see, it's working. So the problem is most likely the cable is defective. Yep, it just faulted. So there there's a problem. Now we tried the other one, and the other one was fine. So it could be the cable, it could be the port. We're going to switch cables. Now we have the option of these other two cables in this bundle here, or we can try the one we've already tested that we know is good. We're going to set this one aside, so just in case, we can call the manufacturer and say, hey, I got a defective cable with my power supply. Can you please send me a replacement? Or, hey, I've got a defective power supply. Can you please send me, then you got to do an RMA, which is a return merchandise authorization. I don't know why it's not an MRA, merchandise return authorization. That would make a whole lot more sense. But as long as I've been working at companies that have to accept returns of damaged products, it's always been called an RMA. Since it's been since before I was born, most likely. Okay, so it looks like maybe the port is faulting. So let me just do a little more testing. Hold on. So it's now faulting even with another, with the good cable in the bad port, and put it back on the good port, and it's now faulting on the good port. And the cable, I tried another cable on a completely different port, and that one's faulting. So it looks to me like this thing has crapped out. So this is why you want to test the tester, just to make sure you're not going to be having your patience tested by a freaking cheap power supply tester that is made to break or is broken on receipt, like this one. It's very frustrating, but now I'm going to have to just see what happens, and as far as finding a better, reliable, safe power supply. So you've now seen, though, what the process is. You just test each cable that you're connecting to with a tester to make sure that everything in the power supply is working okay, as long as you've got a good tester. This one I purchased through Newegg from a company called EN Labs. You can see it right there, and this is called the Power Supply Tester 4 IV, and it is I can't read the Chinese, so I'm sure that just says Power Supply Tester 4, but down here maybe that's actually the manufacturer's information, possibly somewhere. It's impossible to say for sure, but it looks like actually it could just be this stuff up here would be just like the instructions in Chinese, and that also is instructions in Chinese. So this would just be package contents. So there's no manufacturer indicated on this product. Now I suppose that probably NLabs knows. Now I have ordered, and I regularly use a fan hub, a PWM fan hub that I bought from the NLabs brand as well, and that was just fine. So undoubtedly a different brand than this thing. But yeah, sometimes you get garbage, and that's unfortunate. But now you know how to use a PSU tester, and you actually got to see an example of a fault, which is, you might never see it otherwise. And I didn't know that was going to happen because I hadn't run the tests on this yet, because I just put the cables in so I could do this for you. Now, if you could help me out, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you've got time, a comment would be great. Thank you so much. I guess that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments. I'm going to try to run this on my computer instead of the old one. And if it does work with the power supply, I will not add anything to this video. But if it turns out that this power supply, the problem is not the cables, or not the power supply tester, but it's actually the cables and or the ports for the VGA, then I will add that to this so that you know there's a problem with the tester and with the power supply, because the tester is definitely faulty. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.